Have you ever wondered what it would be like to travel around the world in just 80 days? Today, that might sound challenging but possible. We can fly across continents in hours. But in 1872, when most people traveled by steamship and train, such a journey seemed almost impossible. A classic novel turned that impossible dream into one of the greatest adventures in literature. This is the story of Around the World in 80 Days by Jules Verne. Our story begins in Victorian London. The main character, Phileas Fogg, is a wealthy English gentleman known for his extraordinary punctuality and discipline. Every day of his life follows the exact same schedule. He wakes up at the same time, eats at the same time, and spends his evenings at the Reform Club. Nobody knows much about him. He has no close friends, no family, and no apparent occupation. He is a mystery even to those who see him every day. One afternoon, Fogg reads an article claiming that thanks to new railways and steamship routes, it is now possible to travel around the world in just 80 days. The members of the Reform Club laugh at the idea. But Fogg calmly disagrees. A heated debate follows. Finally, he makes a shocking wager. He bets £20,000, a fortune at the time, that he can leave London immediately, travel around the world, and return within exactly 80 days. The club members are stunned. But Fogg simply checks his watch and announces, the unforeseen does not exist. What does he mean by that? Fogg believes that any situation can be anticipated and controlled. To him, success is simply a matter of careful planning and precise execution. Yet the irony at the heart of the story is that the most important events in Fogg's life will be the very ones he never sees coming. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. Within hours of making the wager, Fogg leaves London. Accompanying him is his newly hired French servant, Passepartout. Unlike the calm and reserved Fogg, Passepartout is energetic, emotional, and constantly amazed by the adventures unfolding around him. Together, they begin one of literature's most famous journeys. Their first destination is Egypt. From there, they continue toward India. At first, everything seems to be going according to plan. But Fogg soon discovers that maps and timetables do not always reflect reality. One railway line in India is incomplete. The train suddenly stops, and passengers are informed that the remaining distance must somehow be crossed by other means. Most travelers are frustrated. Fogg simply adapts. He purchases an elephant and continues the journey across the countryside. This unexpected detour becomes one of the novel's most memorable scenes. Along the way, Fogg and Passepartout encounter a young woman named Aouda. Following her husband's death, she is about to be forced to be burned alive on his funeral pyre as part of a brutal ritual. Risking his schedule, and perhaps his entire wager, Fogg decides to intervene. The rescue is dramatic and dangerous. For perhaps the first time in the story, readers see that beneath Fogg's cold exterior lies genuine compassion. Aouda then joins the travelers and becomes part of their journey. Aouda initially plans to stay with relatives in Hong Kong, but when the travelers arrive, they discover that her family has moved away. With nowhere else to go, she continues the journey with Fogg and Passepartout. As they cross Asia, the Pacific Ocean, and North America, she witnesses Fogg's remarkable character. Again and again, he risks his fortune, his schedule, and even his safety to help others. Slowly, admiration turns into affection. Although neither speaks openly about their feelings, a deep bond begins to grow between them, one that will ultimately change Fogg's life forever. Meanwhile, another character enters the story. His name is Detective Fix. Fix is convinced that Phileas Fogg is actually a notorious bank robber who recently stole a large amount of money from a London bank. The timing seems suspicious. A wealthy gentleman suddenly leaves England immediately after the robbery and travels rapidly across the globe. To Fix, the conclusion is obvious. Fogg must be the criminal. The detective begins secretly following the travelers from country to country. His mission is simple: delay Fogg long enough for an arrest warrant to arrive. Throughout the novel, many of the obstacles Fogg faces are made worse by Fix's interference. All the while, Fogg remains completely unaware that he is being hunted. The adventure continues through Hong Kong and then Japan. One of the funniest episodes occurs when Passepartout becomes separated from Fogg. Stranded and desperate for money, he joins a traveling circus in Yokohama. For a brief period, the loyal servant finds himself performing acrobatics on stage while hoping to reunite with his employer. Fortunately, the reunion eventually takes place, and the journey continues. From Japan, the travelers cross the Pacific Ocean and arrive in San Francisco. But America proves no less challenging. They board a train that carries them across the vast continent. Along the way, they encounter political unrest, mechanical problems, and even an attack by Native American warriors. In one dramatic sequence, Passepartout is captured. Despite the enormous risk to his wager, Fogg organizes a rescue mission. Once again, his actions reveal a side of his character that few people expected to find. The supposedly cold and calculating gentleman repeatedly chooses loyalty and humanity over personal gain. As the days pass, the race becomes increasingly desperate. Every missed connection threatens disaster. Every delay feels catastrophic. But the novel reminds us, the chance which now seems lost may present itself at the last moment. Again and again, fortune appears to bend in Fogg's favor, arriving just when all seems lost. Eventually, the travelers reach New York. To their horror, they discover that the ship they planned to board has already departed. Missing this connection may cost them the entire wager. Fogg doesn't surrender. He quickly finds another vessel. Yet merely booking passage is no longer enough. As precious hours slip away, he purchases the ship from its captain during the voyage and drives it forward at full speed. When the fuel begins to run out, the crew resorts to an extraordinary measure. They dismantle wooden parts of the vessel and feed them into the furnaces to keep the engines running. Finally, after countless adventures, they return to England. But disaster strikes. Detective Fix finally arrests Fogg. Only after the arrest is made does the detective learn the truth: the real bank robber has already been captured. Phileas Fogg is completely innocent. The arrest has wasted valuable time. By the moment Fogg reaches London, he believes he has lost the wager. After 80 days of effort, danger, and sacrifice, everything appears to have been for nothing. He retreats home, defeated. Then comes one of the most famous twists in literary history. While traveling eastward around the globe, Fogg unknowingly gained a day because of the way dates change around the world. He thought it was Sunday. It was actually Saturday. He has not lost. He still has time. Racing to the Reform Club, he arrives at the very last moment. The wager is won. Against all odds, Phileas Fogg has traveled around the world in 80 days. Yet his greatest reward comes before the last-minute twist. Believing he has lost the wager and his fortune, Fogg quietly accepts defeat. Then, at his darkest moment, Aouda reveals her love for him and expresses her wish to share his future. For the first time, the reserved Englishman realizes that his journey has brought him something far more valuable than money. He has found companionship, love, and a purpose beyond schedules and calculations. As plans are made for their wedding, Passepartout goes to arrange for a clergyman. There, he makes a startling discovery: it is Saturday, not Sunday. Suddenly, everything changes. Fogg eventually marries Aouda. What began as a wager to circle the globe becomes a journey of personal transformation, leading him to friendship, loyalty, courage, and love. The true journey was not around the world. It was within Phileas Fogg himself. The story became an international sensation almost immediately after publication. Readers were fascinated by the idea of global travel and by Verne's remarkable attention to detail. many people were surprised to learn that Jules Verne had never actually traveled around the world himself. Instead, he conducted extensive research using maps, newspapers, travel reports, and timetables. His calculations were so convincing that some readers believed the journey could genuinely be completed in 80 days. The novel also inspired real-world challenges. In 1889, American journalist Nellie Bly set out to beat Fogg's fictional record. She completed her journey in just 72 days, becoming a celebrity in the process. More than 150 years after its publication, Around the World in 80 Days remains one of the most beloved adventure novels ever written. It is a story about determination, ingenuity, and the power of embracing the unknown. And perhaps its message is best captured by one of the novel's most famous lines: "Anything one man can imagine, other men can make real." Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this literary journey, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share which classic novel you'd like to explore next.